Thank you for staying with us on NTV Weekend Edition. The Deputy President's seat eluded him in 2022, but come 2024, and Kithure Kindiki is the man of the moment, having been approved by the National Assembly and now awaiting to be sworn in. Ibrahim Karanja brings you the story of Kindiki's long walk to the second highest seat of power in Kenya.
These are two men whose ghosts and shadows have been hovering around each other and perhaps disturbing each other's peace since when they each built formidable political clout for themselves and as indispensable beings in President William Ruto's presidential politics. Ousted Deputy President Geoffrey Rigathi Gachagua and his now clear replacement, Deputy President-designate Professor Kithure Kindiki. What started as a serious tussle for William Ruto's running mate position 888 days ago at the Deputy President's official residence in Karen has now culminated to an unprecedented yet anticipated political moment, with Rigathi falling out of grace and power less than half his term and Kindiki picked to replace him and finish the journey. But this appears to have been on the way coming for some time now. On the 12th of September 2024, at a meeting in Nyahururu, 48 members of parliament made this famous statement that was later christened the Nyahururu Declaration. Present in this meeting included Leader of Majority in the National Assembly Kimani Ichung'wah and Laikipia East Member of Parliament Mwangi Kiunjuri, political heavyweights in their own right who had completely fallen out with Gachagua. Here, they picked Kindiki as the linkage between the Mount Kenya region and President William Ruto's government.
Given the prevailing state of affairs and the urgency of the mission ahead, there is need to have a link that will create a nexus between us and the national executives on matters development. Accordingly, we as elected leaders from this region and its diaspora, on our own behalf and that of our people, unanimously resolve that our link to the national government to be the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration, Professor Kithure Kindiki, whose responsibilities in the executive includes the coordination of national government functions across the country.
At the time, seen as dethroning Gachagua, who not only sat as the country's second in command, but also as the deputy party leader of the United Democratic Alliance Party, in which Professor Kindiki is a member. The 48 members of parliament were, however, not the first. Just 2 days prior, some other 16 lawmakers drawn from the counties of Embu, Tharaka Nithi and Meru had made similar declarations. For the past 2 years, Professor Kithure Kindiki, the Deputy President-designate, has been at the helm of the country's security, serving as the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and Coordination of National Government for 2 stints.
I, Kithure Kindiki.
His first stint was from the 27th of October 2022 to the 11th of July 2022, when the cabinet was dismissed following the Gen Z uprising in Kenya. A period of 623 days that truly tried and tested Kindiki's mettle in leadership. He is a man who took over the reins at the Ministry of Interior when guns were loud and death was the norm in the North Rift counties of Baringo, Elgeyo Marakwet, Samburu, West Pokot and Turkana. An assignment he took over with gusto. Also at the time were frustrations bedeviling Kenyans at the immigration offices and at the registrar of persons, with passports and identity cards becoming elusive documents. Professor Kindiki, as a Cabinet Secretary for Interior, oversaw 2 sets of anti-government protests, one being the one led by Azimio la Umoja, One Kenya Alliance, protesting the skyrocketing cost of living in 2023, and another by the Gen Z, who started by protesting against the Finance Bill of 2024, which culminated into anti-bad governance protests. He has faced criticism over his handling of the protests. But who is this man? Born on 16th July 1972 in Irunduni village of Tharaka constituency in Meru district, Kindiki takes office aged 52 years and slightly over 1 month old, having achieved immense successes not only in his political career but also in his private practice as a lawyer for 24 years. The son of Reverend Daniel Kindiki and Miss Hannah Kindiki first rose to prominence between 2012 and 2015 when he represented William Ruto at the International Criminal Court at The Hague, when Ruto was facing crimes against humanity following the 2007-2008 post-election violence. The man who he represented would later have his cases set aside as sitting deputy president and later rose to become Kenya's 5th president, and is now set to become Kindiki's boss at the presidency. But even before that historic representation at The Hague, Kindiki was already cutting a niche for himself as an astute lawyer and a tutor of the law. Between the year 2000 and the year 2011, he served as a lecturer at some of Kenya's best institutions of higher learning, beginning with Moi University, where he lectured between 2000 to 2003. Later, at the University of Nairobi between the year 2003 and 2011. It is in the year 2005, while at the University of Nairobi, when he began his leadership and managerial skills, when he was appointed the head of Department for Public Law until the year 2007. Then later rose to become the Associate Dean of the School of Law between the years 2007 and 2010. Throughout his career as a lecturer, Professor Ibrahim Kithure Kindiki was on various occasions a visiting lecturer at the University of Budapest in Hungary, the University of Sao Paulo in Brazil, and the University of Pretoria in South Africa. In 2008, he briefly served as the Secretary for National Cohesion following the National and Reconciliation Dialogue. These experiences appeared to have sharpened Kindiki for the assignment ahead as he dived into the murky waters of politics in the year 2013, where he threw his hat in the ring for the Pioneer Senate seat for Tharaka Nithi County on a TNA party ticket. In that election, which was Kindiki's maiden, he garnered 112,588 votes of the total valid votes of 138,984, which is a record 81% of the total valid votes cast in that election. He beat 5 other candidates. Immediately after that election and upon his inauguration at the Senate, Professor Kindiki became the House Majority Leader, the first under the 2010 Constitution, a position in which he served until 2017, indicating just how instrumental he was in laying the foundation for legislations touching on devolution, which was by then a new concept. At the election of August 2017, Kindiki sought for re-election into the same Senate seat representing Tharaka Nithi County, this time on a Jubilee Party ticket. He garnered 120,076 of the total valid votes of 174,413, representing 68.85% of the total valid votes. This time, upon his re-election, he served as the Deputy Speaker of the Senate for 3 years up to 2020, when he was unceremoniously ousted for not aligning with politics of the establishment of the day.
Professor Kindiki, you have served us for the duration that you have done. You have served us well. Your party has lost confidence in you. That is a point at which we say that the center cannot hold and things fall apart. The future is bright. You will continue being a member with us here in case the House also resolves it has no confidence in you. But I must say that while he sat on that chair, he made certain rulings, certain precedents that have strengthened this House.
He is a man of honor in a House that does not value that. He is a man who is extremely competent, and I'm sure we shall not be able to see that as we move forward. But that's okay. That's the decision that we shall have to make here today.
Ukiangalia mbele, kama ni siasa, wewe ni lazima ufate mkondo wa maji. Tunaona mafloods yanapiga katika Kenya. ule mkondo wa maji ukiwa unaenda, yale maji vile yanavyoteremka yanabeba kila kitu, yanabeba miti, kila kitu. Kwa hiyo wewe sasa umejipata katika panda hiyo. Hivi sasa utazama, lakini kuvunjika kwa mwiko sio mwisho wa kupika.
Many termed his ouster as a public lynching in the Senate, as even those who voted to remove him had extremely kind words for him, only indicating that their actions were simply political. This year, 2020, was the same year in which, together with other key William Ruto allies, they formed the United Democratic Alliance Party. By the beginning of 2022, so embedded and instrumental was Professor Kindiki in the campaign and ideology of then Deputy President William Samoei Ruto that he was among the top contenders of the running mate position that would have eventually become the Deputy President in the event Ruto became president. Early in that year, he was involved in crafting the coalition pact for parties in the then newly formed Kenya Kwanza coalition. It is perhaps the events of the 15th of May 2022 that put Professor Kindiki in an ultimate political test. That day, at the Deputy President's official residence in Karen, Ruto was to name his running mate. After hours upon hours of deliberations, Ruto picked on Rigathi Gachagua, then Madera constituency lawmaker. The country would, however, be told that Kindiki was the pick amongst members of parliament. An enraged Kindiki stormed out of the deliberations, vowing to take a sabbatical from any elective or appointive position. However, Kenya Kwanza would go ahead to win the 2022 general election, ushering the era of President William Ruto.
Thank you very much.
In turn, Professor Kithure Kindiki was nominated and later appointed into the Ministry of Interior and Coordination of National Government, a position he has served in to date, although with a brief break from office when the cabinet was dissolved. Ibrahim Karanja, NTV.
Ibrahim